everybody. Welcome back to another episode of You Haven't Seen That Podcast, or YHST for short. I'm Isaac.
I'm Elva.
And I'm Carlos.
And this is a show where we cover movies on that growing list of films that has people asking us the question,
You haven't seen
that? Get your shit together and watch these movies. Before I forget, because I always tend to get ahead of myself, if you are new here or you haven't done so already, follow us, please, on social media at
YHSTpod.com.
We have a website?
This is what happens when we're tired and you have Sundays. YHST Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you'd like to support us, anything and everything matters so we can improve on the show. Please do so on Venmo at
YHSTpod.com.
No.com. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 movies for you today. Mother Mary, Michael, Exit 8, and Over Your Dead Body. Not in that exact order. A couple of us saw some of those movies that the other ones didn't, so it's going to be like a relatively short episode. We're foregoing the trivia at the very end, like I mentioned. A little bit beat. It's been a long week. A lot has happened. So we're going to, it's not going to drag on. But before we get into all the other fun stuff, let's go ahead and inform you on what's going on in the latest in movies and entertainment with an unimaginative segment that I call YHST News.
Do, 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 do.
And to kick things off, Paramount's $110 billion, and that's billion with a B, with Warner Brothers gets the green light from the shareholders as they approve the merger. But they have rejected WBD's CEO David Zaslav's lucrative compensation package. Sorry, guys.
You know what? I don't blame you. I don't think any of us could have made that sound any more exciting.
First world problems. The man has enough money as it is, so does he really need it?
No. Project Hail Mary puppeteer James Ortiz is eligible for Best Supporting Actor.
That's pretty awesome. Amaze. Sad news. After only 2 seasons, the Boys spinoff series Gen V is getting the big old cancel. And me, as a fan of it, I am actually really saddened to see that go. I enjoyed it a lot. I don't know why they're canceling it. I didn't look further into it.
I'm just barely starting to watch it, and it's like, great. Well, I have to watch the show knowing that it's only 2 seasons.
It's really good, though, so you'll enjoy it.
Lee Cronin wants to make a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but he can just keep that thought to himself and maybe let Mike Flanagan take a stab at it. Although, to be fair, he's made some pretty good movies, but maybe give it to someone else.
Yeah, I would give it to Flanagan.
A24's Texas Chainsaw Massacre film reboot will be directed by Curry Baker. He will be taking lead on the project. The film is being developed alongside Texas Chainsaw TV series.
And here are the list of the trailers that were recently released. We got a look at Practical Magic 2. Everyone looks fantastic. And
Lee Pace.
Evil Dead Burns gives us a fantastic one-er teaser trailer. I am super excited to see that. That's coming out in July, I think.
Yeah, summer release.
Yeah. Clayface was a fucking very interesting trailer. It finally gave us a look at Clayface, and it looks like it's staying true to that character. And again, this is going to be a body horror film that this was written by Flanagan.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. Anything in that DC realm, it's looking fantastic. We actually get a first look at the DCEU's Gotham. So let's dive into that. Spider Noir got another trailer where we get more of a look at the villains. We get more of a look at the web swinging and Nick Cage being Nick Cage in this ridiculous character. I still don't know if it's going to be good or bad. I know we went back and forth on that, but I'm still kind of excited to see it, just as far as like it being a possibly really silly series.
I want to take that mask off. I'm sorry.
And then lastly, I don't think we talked about this, but I think they wanted to make a horror movie based upon like the Hungry Hippo game. Board game, right. And then this trailer came out called Hungry, about a hippo who's attacking people. I don't think it's actually connected to what Hasbro wanted to do. So I didn't really doubly confirm that, but I believe that may be true. Who gives a shit? Yeah, Google it yourself.
It's the trend. Make everything kid-friendly a horror film now.
There you go. You've been informed or misinformed.
All the above. Yeah. Just say it.
Carlos, hit us with an either or.
All right, for this episode's edition of Either Or, my question to both of y'all is...
Sorry, just like minutes before, like where we had the mics on and everything, we're all doing like different Southern accents. I won't mention Elva's. If you know, you know.
Inside joke between us. With the merger for Paramount and Warner Brothers now coming up soon... If James Gunn ends up leaving DC Studios, should he go back to Marvel Studios, or should he go to Sony and maybe help reboot their Spider-Verse movies?
That's a great one. First off, no on going back to Marvel, unless Marvel's gonna take their foot off of his neck. Because one of his biggest complaints is that he's unable to do all the creative stuff. And a man who's as creative as James Gunn needs to be kind of like let run wild. Now, that being said, if he's allowed to do that in Sony, because they maybe have realized that they really shat the bed with all of the things that they've really put out. And I understand, I think the Sony's contract is that they have to continue to make some Spider-Man related stuff in order to retain the rights to it. If they were to go, we understand, we suck. Go ahead, James. Let's see what you can do. That's the only way I want them to do that.
I never thought I'd say this, but if he goes to Sony, he's going to kill his career. Sony is where you go to die.
And that's the news. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead. I want that on a shirt.
No, you go to Sony to die, to lose any artistic anything, because they strip it away. Known from artists, singers, actors, everything else, directors, that's where it goes to die. So why would he go somewhere to go to Sony when he could go back to Marvel, where they're basically, it's a new CEO, they're cutting out the loose ends and everything to make that work better.
I retract my comment. I'm going for her. You're right. I'm convinced.
And the person who took over, he's very much more of like a Disney adult in a weird way, but like still very CEO. So he listens to like kind of what's going on. Mm-hmm. As for like the other ones, was it Bob Iger? He was trying to fix Bob Chapsticks because he's never going to get his name actually correct with me.
We are not speaking his name on this podcast.
And he was just fixing all his issues the last couple of years when he came back. So it would be a death for his career that way if he went to Sony.
I'm convinced. And I guess it's also a matter of like the devil you know then too, right?
Yeah. At least with Disney, you can kind of work your way through it.
That's true. I mean, it's so scary though. All the layoffs. That's a newsworthy thing. All the layoffs that.
Yeah, well, you have all the layoffs, but that's just cutting dead end, like something that you don't need. I don't know.
There were some big creative people that were laid off. It was really concerning.
That's still going to be the same thing when Paramount takes over Warner Brothers.
Yeah, there's going to be those redundancy jobs that they're just
so that's what they're
off.
Just doing. They're just taking out redundant jobs out because there's so many. Because it's the same thing.
I retract my earlier comment. I am also again swayed.
All right, so I will side with Marvel for this one time.
Nice.
For me, before you had mentioned the whole Sony stuff, I would say like go with Sony and help, redo a lot of their Spider-Verse stuff. But the thing is that he's such a great creative alone that it's great that he's doing all these superhero movies and he does a great job at it, like fucking great. But I would like to see him do some original stuff, like go back to actually making original films like Slither.
True.
Super, even though that was kind of a superhero movie, but it wasn't like based on anything. Like he created that all himself.
Nobody actually had superpowers in that, did they?
No, it's just everyday people that aren't in the best headspace. Rainn Wilson, Elliot Page, and Kevin Bacon. Yeah. But I would say before knowing that, I would say Marvel. I mean, Sony, but I personally would like to see him just do like independent stuff or just original ideas.
Or he could go to Universal because apparently we always overlook Universal for everything.
True. Maybe he could help.
Create with monsters.
Create with monsters. I'd love to see him do some
like you said.
Stuff.
You said Slither, and that was a Universal.
Yeah, that
movie.
Was.
So he can go and do all that whole revival of the monsters.
But when it comes to, again, if the studio is going to let him actually have creative control, then fantastic. But I mean, currently he has like the most creative control he's ever had.
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, we'd love to see him continue on with DC, and he doesn't leave and like help like for him to rebuild the DC universe. But you know, it's still up in the air if he'll stay or not. But a lot of people feel like he might leave.
How fucking tired would you be of DC or whatever if they're like, all right, they can another person? You're like, that was the guy to have, dude. You're just gonna fuck.
Or he could do what that one guy from Disney long back ago and create like DreamWorks and create his own thing.
John
Yeah.
Lasseter.
And then basically be
one.
like, here's your fuck you because now
Yeah.
my thing's going way better. And probably do the same thing, go with Universal, make some kind of deal where he does his own little thing just being distributed by them.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Completely unrelated. If certain superhero franchises continue to like reboot things, are you at that point going to get like fatigued?
A little bit, yeah. And then for me, as I've been very patient with the multiverse saga with Marvel, like I've been more forgiving than a lot of people. But even I have to admit, like, let's just, like, you already have a great foundation. Don't mess that up. And then if they start all over again, it's like, why bother?
CinemaCon just happened a few weeks ago or whatnot, and there's been like great word about like the Doomsday trailer. People were super excited. Mark Ellis of the Schmoes podcast, I don't think it's still on now, but he was talking. He's seen it, and he's like super excited for what Doomsday has to offer. So I hope everything's going in the correct direction.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll see.
We'll see how that goes.
Weren't you wearing a shirt that said that? Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with a couple of movies that the other person hadn't seen. We're going to start with Carlos with Exit 8, and just a quick heads up to you listeners: we're not doing the spoiler-free reviews, snack size reviews. So you've been warned. We're spoiling it in our little breakdown.
Warmed.
It's a tired Sunday. Stop. This is only my second cup of tea. So Carlos, kick it off with Exit 8. What's the synopsis of that movie?
A man is trapped in an endless sterile subway passageway, and he sets out to find the Exit 8. And that's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to start off by saying this. Out of the movies that we've watched this week, this is probably my favorite movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, so this is an adaptation of the indie horror psychological game, aptly named Exit 8 as well. Yeah, you got this guy getting off of a train somewhere in Tokyo. It's implied to be somewhere in Tokyo. He ends up in this never-ending loop of a hallway.
Yeah.
And
I just call that life.
And he has to try to get to Exit 8, but here's the thing. He passes through the same hallway. Mm-hmm. He sees this layout, a random person that just walks by that doesn't react to his presence. And the goal is that before he gets to the end of the hallway, he has to really be observant, like any changes, any anomalies, because those are the rules that it sets up early on, that he has to observe for any anomalies. If he sees any, he has to go back the way he came, and that'll get him to the next level.
Got it.
But if he misses anything, any small detail or the most obvious thing, and he continues on, it resets back to 0. This movie had a great buildup of paranoia, and you really feel like you're in the main character's shoes, where you're observing the same thing as he is. Like, you're looking all over on the screen, trying to find any small, minute detail that is off.
I need to try to catch this movie. I was trying to catch it last week, but life happened, and I missed like basically 2 opportunities to go catch it. And so when Alva and I had essentially our sort of little date night, and we saw Over Your Dead Body, I was like, Carlos, if you have a chance to see Exit 8, one of us has to fucking see this. But I might try to squeeze this into, I don't know when, but this is like very much worth seeing then?
Yes. So here's the thing. I didn't even know this movie even got made until you brought it up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Exit 8, why does it sound familiar? And I remembered Markiplier, he did a playthrough of that game. So I went back and rewatched it to prepare for this movie, just because I kind of don't remember. I didn't remember.
Don't lie. You just like watching Markiplier and his fantastic, lovely voice.
Oh, I mean, who wouldn't want to watch? Just listen to that.
God, it's great.
Of his.
He has nice hair.
Yeah.
His playthrough is hilarious. And the way he's like acting so frustrated when he overlooked an anomaly, he's like, what? Like, how the fuck did I miss that? Is exactly how you'll feel in the movie.
Oh,
where,
fun.
Because he does, the character does overlook anomalies, and he starts right back to 0, and you feel his frustration.
Oh, I love that.
And again, like, you feel the paranoia where you do end up the characters second guess themselves, like, wait, this looks normal, but I know something's off. You feel the same way as well. So it really messes with you. The plot is pretty straightforward. Because the original game didn't really have a plot. You're just plopped into this hallway and you're just trying to get out. This does try to add a story to it. It has like a deep metaphorical kind of thing with, if you kind of are familiar with Japanese society, a lot of people just work these jobs, but they're like drones.
Yeah.
So
I've seen a lot of like images or videos where like businessmen are just dead asleep or drunk.
Drunk. And in the subway, and I've gone to Japan myself, and I've gone to Tokyo, and I've ridden those subways, which by the way, like they're very efficient. During rush hour, it's like no joke. It's like it's like even like when I had walked through those subway tunnels, the hallways and everything, when it's not rush hour. It does feel like a maze alone, like truly. Like you feel like you could get lost, and that's how this movie made me feel.
Does it feel a little bit like a liminal space, like the back rooms?
Oh, and that's what I was going to mention. Yes. It's very reminiscent of liminal space. So it does remind you a lot of the back rooms, which if you haven't, I don't know if you guys have seen the YouTube video by Kim Parsons.
Of the back rooms? Yeah. No, I mean, that's why when A24 announced the back rooms, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I fucking love watching the backrooms videos.
Yeah. I mean, the movie hasn't come out yet, obviously.
But we saw the recent trailer. I'm so excited.
But it did remind me of that, where you're just, the only noise that you're hearing is like kind of like the background score, which is kind of creepy, but hearing like the buzzing noise of the fluorescent lights on the ceiling.
Hell yeah.
So
fuck yeah, I want to check that out, man.
Yeah, I would say definitely check it out if you can. This is a fun watch, pretty easy to follow through, and it's in Japanese, and there are subtitles. But like, if you feel like I know a lot of people don't like to watch foreign films because they don't want to read. Not to worry, there's not like too much dialogue. Oh, and the thing you'll appreciate this: so many seamless like one shot takes that like run for such a long time, and I really try to pay attention, like where are the clever cuts. I couldn't even spot them.
Well, I was going to kind of mention that I did see one behind the scenes where, because it's just one easy set piece of like a sort of zigzag hallway, right? And that the gentleman that walks by, the behind the scenes is he then rushes out once he's off frame, rushes out off the set, jumps on a bicycle, goes to the very beginning so that he can just and go and instead of hiring twins or anything like that.
Yeah. So just on that technical standpoint, the way it's shot, it's like so great. It's like I did not expect to walk out like enjoying this movie.
It's not a winner, is it? No,
not entirely.
Okay, but there's some longer sequences.
But there are plenty of long sequences where it's like nonstop.
Really, really want to see this.
Yeah, I'd say like for both of you guys, like check it out if you can.
Okay.
It's an easy watch too. It's like an hour and a half long, so it didn't feel long. It hit the sweet spot with the runtime. So, those are my thoughts.
Bam. Those are my thoughts. And that's Carlos's approval. Okay, next on is Over Your Dead Body. This is the one that me and Alva saw. This is starring Samara Weaving and Jason Segel and Timothy Olyphant. Oh, and a little pop-in of Juliette Lewis. Synopsis, hit me.
A dysfunctional married couple retreats to a secluded cabin to repair their relationship, but each secretly plots to murder the other.
Same. So just based off of the trailer, I was expecting it to be like a tongue-in-cheek, like dark comedy. And where the story goes has got some twists and turns that I'm not going to fully spoil, but there's some characters that are introduced. So it's not your traditional, it isn't just Samara Weaving and Jason Segel trying to kill each other. There's some little extra added beats. And there was a moment in the movie where I go, well, I kind of wanted to see what that would have actually played out like if it was just them and their problem. But then the movie sort of like seamlessly presents itself in the realm of like, well, this isn't that kind of movie. Like, it isn't so like tongue in cheek the way that like Ready or Not 2 was. In fact, this is what
Ready or Not 2 should have been.
With Samara Weaving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, she is hilarious. You know, her being able to use her original accent and just like lean in on whatever, like it's so much of it because I've seen her in interviews and I feel like this is just her, you know, and she's so fucking great, man. Like I want to see her in more leading roles, really. I haven't really seen Jason Segel in a lot of stuff outside of any of the comedies that he's done, but man, the dark comedy beats, they just, it hits. The movie starts off relatively slow and introducing sort of their own respective motives. And then once it starts going, it doesn't let up and it's very consistent and then builds upon that momentum to just hit that like proper crescendo to that point where towards like roughly the middle of the movie, you go, oh, this is a little bit of an absurd movie, but they're not jumping the shark. And you can tell that they're keeping it reined in this sort of reality that's like, it's that side of absurd, but just so much fun. And it's not completely ridiculous. There's maybe one or two like lack of survival instinct moments.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I liked how the movie got the whole audience laughing.
Oh my God.
I think that's what made the movie even better, because everyone actually enjoyed the beats.
Hard laughing.
Like, not just
Giggling.
like a little chuckle, like like laughing to where I think I coughed a bit, and then I heard someone else kind of clear their throat because they were laughing. It was a late night showing, but still it had everyone going. Everyone was waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, there was this one scene where a line was said and it was sort of out of context, right? The two leads are fighting. Some other characters kind of fall through the ceiling. And then those new characters, one of them goes, "That's your favorite movie?" And just like the out of context comedy beat was so fucking funny. I'm giggling. She's giggling. Some dude in the next row's fucking, he didn't
sounded
stop.
like, what's his face?
Seth Rogen.
Of course.
And it made me laugh more and made everyone else. It was such a fun time, dude. And so seeing how the audience was reacting, any of those moments where I naturally wanted to be like, well, I mean, if they actually, I completely relinquished that because it was just a roller coaster of a ride to be on.
I also liked how they would say something and you're like, did I miss something in the beginning? But then they go like,
3 days later, before.
yesterday. And then it's like, okay, cool. And then 3 days ago. But it wasn't like just out of random. It was in context of what was being said in that scene. So it kind of made sense. And I'm like, I feel like I'm talking to somebody and they're like, hold on. But this is what happened yesterday.
And how they use that sort of comedic device with like the, 3 days prior. They did lean in on it of like they knew they were kind of doing it too much, and then it just became this really funny thing. There's a part where one character is talking to an old man, and he's like, "Well, you see what was happening is I took down the back row because you know how I like them tomatoes over the thing," and then it goes 3 minutes later.
I feel like that's like me or Alva when we tell the story.
Because it was open 24 hours and I have to go to that one because it was late at night. Another hour later.
And not only that, the guy goes, "Okay, so anyways, what I mean to say," and he starts going into a cough, and I go, that is Carlos.
Yeah.
Well, gee.
You were in the movie.
Yeah.
Hey.
You're with us in spirit.
It is so good. And like the level of violence that was in this movie is what I had wanted out of like Faces of Death. Like, how did this movie have more gore than Faces of Death? How is it more bloody than that one? How did it feel more visceral in some of those scenes where I'm like, oh, surely they're not going to, oh, they did that.
Yeah, no, I think it's because it was Jason Segel. He has his way of like getting to hit these beats. It kind of also reminded me of Forgetting Sarah Marshall and certain like how he would say certain things, and I'm like,
Killing Sarah Marshall.
But I think it was just the whole chemistry with the whole cast and how everything that just made everything work. Because I remember you talking about Faces of Death and how the chemistry, like the cast being picked for that, it just didn't make sense.
No.
So with this one, like the whole cast made sense.
And in that lane, Samara Weaving can do action and violence, which, by the way, there is such a nod to Ready or Not, where she's holding a shotgun and there's just sort of a beat.
Oh.
And you're like, that's her thing.
Mm-hmm.
But she's funny and great at being serious. And Jason Segel's funny and great at being serious. And Timothy Oliphant is really funny and great at being serious. See the trend? Same thing for Juliette Lewis. So they're able to pull from both sides of the things that they've had experience in. And this ensemble cast just completely knocks it out of the park, dude. You got to try to check that one out. A ton of fun. A shit ton of fun. And we saw like a late showing. We saw 9:45, which means that movie started at a little after 10. And compared to like when we saw Mother Mary, which is at 9 o'clock in the evening showing. Great movie, by the way. We'll get into that immediately next. The energy of Over Your Dead Body was as such that I was like, I am very tired today, but I am completely awake for the duration of this movie. So much fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
100%. Watch it.
I gotta check it out.
Speaking of Mother Mary, A24's Mother Mary starring
Anne Hathaway.
And and who's the one that plays Sam, the dressmaker?
Oh.
Michaela Cole.
Okay. I think she was fantastic. Give me the synopsis.
Long buried wounds rise to the surface when iconic pop star Mother Mary reunites with the estranged best friend and former costume designer Sam Ansel, whatever it is, on the eve of her comeback performance.
Well, that's certainly, after watching this movie, I'm like, well, that's one way to make a dress.
100%. Okay, so I know Isaac hates the phrase giving, whatever, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Lady Gaga with her costumes and her, like, if you ever see...
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, like her just being out there. But I feel like it also made like a reference to it because of how Sam talks like, oh, but this, when you weren't saying anything about like a certain, and I'm like, oh, Lady Gaga. It's giving a little bit of Lady Gaga. And then when they're talking about like different things, and I'm like, okay. But it also, in a way, gave... and I know both of you are not going to know what this is. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Taylor Swift's Reputation tour.
I totally know Taylor Swift's Reputation tour.
It just kind of was giving a little bit of the vibes, kind of with certain scenes that were being played out when she came out on stage.
Wasn't one of the producers here?
Jack Antonoff? Yeah. So Jack Antonoff did work with her on some albums, but just a performance on when you do see Anne Hathaway on stage, which also I did forget that she can actually sing.
Oh, yeah, Les Mis.
Yeah.
I haven't finished that movie. We actually stopped after
her number.
Holy balls, man.
She could sing.
That's an understatement. She can make me cry from my soul just from that song itself.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about her singing. And also totally forgot about her range in acting. Because we always see her in like Devil Wears Prada or something like
very quirky, whimsical roles.
But one of the more serious roles I've seen her in was like as Catwoman.
Mm-hmm. But then when you give her like a role like that, or even like, I was like, oh, or like Les Mis, like she has that in her. She just needs to get out there.
And speaking of Les Mis, a little bit of a loose segue. I had no expectations of what this movie was. I remember you saying like, "Oh, it's like if like Lady Gaga had a comeback thing," and I go, "Cool." But this is from A24. A24 has infamously made very
artsy,
thought-provoking, symbolic, out of the box is probably
very interpretive.
Interpretive is a great one.
So, like, same thing. I've seen them a handful of times. I always get into the theater super early, so.
Oh my God!
We
fucking
get it.
bragging. Jesus Christ!
You're on time.
All right. Well, what I'm trying to say is,
try harder.
Stop.
These two love roasting me. In case y'all haven't noticed.
Ooh, love roasting.
But I watched the trailer only a couple times, and if you were to ask me, like, what did I remember from those trailers, like story wise, like get an idea of what it's about, I honestly couldn't even tell you because I don't remember, because it wasn't very clear to me. I told you, I think walking in, I got a feeling like maybe was this going to be like Black Swan, where very psychologically driven, where is she going to imagine seeing things all in her head and she's just trying to perfect her craft? And
so the answer to that is like a little bit of all of that and some. So the reason why I brought up like Les Mis, as far as it being like a stage play, is that this movie, me not knowing what the hell it was, you open up with a concert sequence, really fun, by the way, really well produced. That is what the next movie should have looked like, Michael.
I was also thinking of what was that M. Night Shyamalan movie with the I'm like, this is what
Trapped?
This is what Trapped should have been, but okay.
But what I'm trying to say is that then when it got into the meat of the story and you're in this one setting, which is effectively this barn made into a studio, a clothing studio, a stylist, what the hell do you call it? Dressmaking studio, whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Just like a studio. Yeah.
I'm not in the arts. And as the two leads are having their back and forth, I realized that this is sort of made to be, it's made to feel like a stage play. In fact, rather Shakespearean, especially with the character Sam having a British accent and how she's describing things, and just sort of those beats. If you've seen anything Shakespeare, there's those beats where they're very inquisitive. They know exactly what to say. It's almost poetic and it's epic in that lane. And on the opposite of that is you then have Anne Hathaway's character, who isn't maybe as poetic, but she's more of like the raw soul. So the portrayal of these two essentially artists is something I thought was actually pretty fascinating. And by the way, before I forget to say, I don't think this movie is going to be for everyone. It's an A24 movie.
Yeah.
It's completely not traditional. But if you go into it with the expectation of it being sort of like a stage play, sort of Shakespearean, and you just have to figure some things out, then I think you could enjoy it. It is a slow burn. It's a slower paced movie. But what I was going to say before I interrupted myself is the two leads being artists, one completely embracing her art and the other struggling with trying to find herself amongst, the multiple changing visages that society and her producers and stuff have given her. I thought it was a really fascinating exploration. And then it goes into something I didn't expect, was like a supernatural aspect of it.
Yeah.
What did you guys take from that?
At first, I thought, because there was a reference to Sam asking Anne Hathaway, like, I heard about your mother, like, I'm sorry to hear about that. So they both share a similar story of their encounter with a ghost, which takes the form of red ghost, which takes the form of like a red cloth kind of appearance.
Love
that's
the way
like
that looked,
floating.
by the way.
Yeah. And I thought, like, because there's a scene where when Mother Mary's telling her ghost story, they do a seance which conjures the ghost. I kind of interpret it as like a representation of her mother.
Oh, okay. Oh,
At first, that's where I thought, like, okay, like it's supposed to represent her mom, but then when because she does have an accident that happened where, like, you do see this very big gnarly scar that runs down her back, and how she had an accident where she fell off the platform that she was hanging on, and she just like falls back. Is that just meant to represent like her trauma from losing her mom to trying to find her identity again as a performer, as an artist? That's kind of like what I figured, is just like her finding those things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of as far as I thought. I'm still trying to figure out what Sam's interpretation, like the ghost for her is.
I think Sam's is more like letting go of the hate that she has for her. Because throughout the movie, you see her basically when they were young. And she even mentions in the movie, like, we were teenagers. We were there from the beginning. So I think that for her, that red cloth fabric leaving her body is just her letting go of her finally accepting that she doesn't fit in her world, and she should just be focusing on herself and not losing her art over somebody. And when Anne Hathaway sees that, she basically, it's kind of like one's releasing all the burden, and then the other one's finally realizing what they've done. And that's why she makes her apologize so many times, because she's the only one that knows her from the beginning.
Yeah.
Before this fame. So it's more of like the bond that they have each other, because you don't see anybody else around except for like maybe those clips that are outside, like little flashbacks, or here we go, or the flashes to the concert. But you throughout the whole movie, you don't see anyone with them. It's just them two. And then, hearing at the end that everyone kind of comes in.
Speaking of that, then, and during the flashback sequence when they're having that seance with FKA Twigs, do you think that sequence was more symbolic of what was going on, or that they literally summoned some sort of spirit? Or was that, I'm going more literal now, or was that spirit pulling or, attracted to their respective tragedies?
The latter. I felt like it was
feeding off
of their tragedies.
Yeah, because one, Sam kind of already accepted all this going on, so it's kind of like letting go.
Right, and then that's when she saw it.
You have Mother Mary with the death of the mom and then being overworked. So there's nothing else for her to be level-headed.
Because Sam said she saw it just the once. And then Mother Mary's like, well, I saw it multiple times, to which she replied, you always got to one-up me, huh? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And if Mother Mary's seeing it multiple times, she cannot let it go. Yeah. And to that point where it has taken over her, as tragedy does.
I think that, and as we're talking about it now, I think the red fabric could probably also symbolize grief, a grief in friendship, grief in losing a parent grief and losing your own self.
Well, speaking of that, like I think we were sort of lightly touching on like death a few minutes before we were recording, and we're all part of the DPC, the Dead Parents Club. Without going too deep into it, I think we can all agree that we've all processed completely differently for different lengths of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know certain family members that they still haven't let some of that, or just finally now letting some of that grief go. And I've seen it take over them and fester and completely, I don't know, destroy is a proper word, but there was a metamorphosis and it was a very messy thing. Yeah, it's, if you're not letting go of that burden, it can not completely ruin you, but it can be very bad. Yeah.
I think also it has vast majority of different layers within each category that grief is given, you know, your stages. But I think each stage has categories upon like subcategories that you go through, but because no one really talks about these things. So I think like this movie, maybe grief is that red fabric floating around there that she sees, to where you think she did back off on that ledge. And when she goes and meets Sam, even Sam's like, kind of,
is this a cry for help? Like she's very no nonsense.
She goes, is this the last, or is this maybe for now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of those things where Sam actually knows her, going back to actually knowing her, and like knowing, and then especially how Anne Hathaway's character comes in like disheveled and just, what if probably Sam would have said no, you probably would have maybe thought that was the last of Sam, a Mother Mary.
You know, I can very much relate to Sam in this, where you know, when I went through my grief, it ran hot, but it ran short. Maybe not short enough for other people's sake, but and I know people who are like the Mother Mary character, where this is this very prolonged grief, and now it's warped and de-evolved or whatever into this like this terrible thing. And when I interact with those people, I know who they originally are, and so I can cut through the bullshit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like there are those people where they're giving me a lot of this kind of this hoopla and runaround, and I go, I know you better than you know yourself, because you're so blinded by all this grief that's sort of, you know, like I said, blinded you, and able to cut through all that and just tell it like it is. Like, look, we don't have time for all this other bullshit and prolong it any further. This is how you're feeling now. Is it this? Is it that? Is it the other? Because everyone else has been, people, and have coddled and pitied. Yeah,
well, because people don't really talk about death normally. Mm-hmm. Like, it is not a normal topic to talk about.
I'll talk about it all day.
Death and grief are not talked about. So it's taboo. And when you do meet people who have gone through it, they understand more. But also, like, going back to this movie, Sam kind of just doesn't want to deal with her, but is just trying to have her go. Basically, like, this is my last favor to you, so you can leave my life completely.
Well, also because Mother Mary doesn't want to help her. You can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves, isn't willing to do that. So I liked how this movie played with that, the relationship in context, where they didn't feel the need to do any kind of flashback. You know, as you would if two people who knew each other for years had a conversation picking up after so many years after, there isn't any need to be like, you know, when I said that thing from way back when, it's, you know, the thing, you know, there's that, that familiarity, you know, the sort of inside information that you don't need to recap on. It's just known. And I think this movie plays with that pretty well. Again, who played Sam again? I forget her name.
Michaela Cole. She's been in the TV series Chewing Gum, the TV series May I Destroy You. She is Anika in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She is in Mr. and Mrs. Smith TV series. And there's this movie that just came out, I believe this month of April, called The Christophers with Sir Ian McKellen. And I really want to see that one because it also seems profound.
Any other words about Mother Mary?
Nope.
It's not going to be for everyone, but if you want to see something very deep and metaphorical about one finding themselves again, this is worth the watch. But again, it's a very art house movie, but that's pretty much all it.
Well said, Carlos. And let's quickly move on to the last movie, which is the Michael Jackson biopic. Michael, Elva, give me the synopsis of that movie.
It's Michael freaking Jackson. What do you want me to say? Open your Spotify and listen to his music. What the fuck?
You know what I realized is after seeing this movie, I go, who really was this movie for? Was it for the fans? And if you're like reintroducing anybody to it, like who doesn't know Michael Jackson? My niece Marlene, shout out, she's turning 18 in a few short months, and I realized she technically was alive for a year when Michael Jackson passed away, but the year that he had died, people are now 17 years old. So it's like, well, there's a whole almost 2 decades worth of people who haven't grown up with Michael Jackson, the music or music videos and movies, and just so much influence that this King of Pop had.
Yeah. So like the movie for me felt like it was just kind of more of a montage of his greatest hits, but there was like a lot of fluff with the story. Mm-hmm. I'm not an expert on biopic films. I've only seen like a handful of them. Like my favorite one is Selena.
Okay.
Which
sorry, I didn't expect
anything
that.
for Selena.
Yeah.
Anything for Selena's. Like, see, comparing that movie with this one, yes, we do, like in Selena, we do see some of her iconic moments where she's at her concerts, she's performing this like her hit songs, but there's a lot of story in between those scenes.
Keyword story.
Where versus with Michael, yes, we do get a lot of those concert scenes or the rehearsal scenes where he's filming his music videos, but they glanced over a story. Like they just like left out so many things.
Like when they strung together all of those the things, basically like clips that already exist of concerts, of accidents, whatever, like, you know, because he was always being filmed and shit like that, and then just reenacting those, I go, okay, that's cool, but so much of it is that.
My hand is raised. So the movie is half of Michael's best of. So we do have the Jackson era, the off the wall era, the Thriller era, and it ends with the bad era. But we leave off with 4 different eras, which is the Dangerous era, the His Story, the Blood on the Dance Floor era, Invincible, and the This Is It era, which was the last era he had, which basically we know how that ended. But they all focus on the good parts right before 2-ish years before allegations start in 1990. So I understand the reason why they kind of made all this, but I also understand the legality of it, because the first allegation came from Jordan Chandler. We're not going to say no names here because that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
She said a name. She said.
Yeah, I said a name.
She said she won't say no names, but she said a name.
Yeah, whatever. Because the whole thing started at that end of this era, and also started with them changing a whole third act for this movie.
Yeah. So if any of you haven't watched the news over the last few months, this movie had a completely different cut, and the whole third act had to be reshot. It was going to include all the allegations. It was going to delve more into like the controversial aspect of his life. But his estate had forgotten to mention to the studio, legally, you guys cannot depict Jordan Chandler in any way, shape, or form. So they had to reshoot good portions of the movie. And shortly before coming here today, I had seen some behind the scenes photos where they had like portions set on Neverland Ranch and everything, but all that was cut out. Like there were even like some actors that had filmed all their scenes, but were also cut out.
In that case, like, because we are just holding Jordan Chandler here, that changed the whole, you can't talk about him, then cut him out. You still have a good portion of the rest. All the other allegations, of course, cut out the allegations of his father trying to sue again Michael, and Jordan Chandler trying to re-sue again Michael for all this other stuff. Cut those things out and focus on the other stuff. How Neverland Ranch came to be. Macaulay Culkin, maybe go ahead and talk to him. Go ahead and talk to, maybe not Aaron Carter's estate, because his mother kind of runs that and his mother's fucking crazy. But like you also allegedly. And then you have, what's the guy with the blonde hair? He was just recently on.
Guy Fieri?
No. There's another one that he's not really liked. Anyways, you could go talk to him. Like the main three that always backed Michael, you could have talked to him and made something around
Corey
that.
Feldman?
There you go.
The one with the bad guitar playing?
Yeah. The one that kind of no one really likes.
Allegedly.
But like you have all these other ones that have spoken up about him, and like you could have had that gone that way and still included later on, and maybe included the rest of the eras that are missing out here, because there is a lot more of the importance. Maybe focus on how the Pepsi accident affected how he did, how stress made him not sleep for about 60 days. People had to spoon feed him to having to be fed with a tube, and all these other things of how different allegations or different things are going on this. Like, it wasn't just that, but you still have other albums that he's making, other music and stuff like that. The short films weren't even mentioned, and there was 4 short films that are being mentioned. You could talk more about how Sony fucking screwed him over. Again, back with Sony.
In regards to the things that were reshot and everything like that, I don't know how the logistics of all this works, but it's not like there haven't been movies that are like, okay, we're going to push the release date further back because we want to give a good movie, or at least a movie of substance, a movie that actually tells, like Carlos said, a story. If you're going to pull any and all punches and just like, here's all the good stuff, that isn't a movie. If you want to say this is a Michael Jackson tribute movie, we're not going to go into all the nitty gritty, then I don't know, then it's for the fans. It's straight up for the fans. Here's all the good stuff. They want to turn a blind eye to anything bad that has happened or anything deeper that has happened, anything more real that has happened. Then it's strictly for the fans, and it seems to be what the consensus is, that anybody who was a fan of who is a fan of Michael Jackson love this more than anybody who's looking at this movie for it being a movie. Because if you're looking at it, how the construction of the movie was, it just didn't hit for me. The concerts, how amazing they were reproduced. It was 1-to-1. Let's not overlook that Jafar Jackson's performances were absolutely fucking amazing.
Oh, yeah.
One of the fucking craziest things I've ever seen, because when it comes to the king of dance, Michael Jackson, nobody can perform like him. It was really mind-blowing. That aside, the goddamn concert sequences was a whole fucking song. Now, typically in any kind of biopic, by the way, going back to how biopics are primarily done, is you try to find that story, you dig deep, you try to, not that they're a documentary where you need to educate people on the story of that person's or that artist's life, but we should be learning something that we didn't know prior. It didn't do hardly any of that. A quick Wikipedia search could have pulled up the things that we touched on in the movie. You know what I mean? So, Jesus Christ, like 40% of the fucking movie was concerts. To the point that I'm like, okay, Jafar Jackson's performance for an actor was really good for a first-time actor. The dancing sequences are amazing. Coleman Domingo's scary motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
As Joe Jackson. And every time they went into a song, I go, this is really cool. It's fun to watch this. And okay, we're doing the whole song. All right, song number 2. This isn't really lending to the story. This is just now a musical, like when we watched Purple Rain. And then it went every subsequent song. I was just then going, if nothing is lending to the story, I'm now just sitting and waiting for the song to finish, for the performance to finish, so that we can get into the story beats, which at that point were just incidental little cut-ins, little snippets.
And even like, you have one main thing that was brought up in this movie. Michael Jackson being the first Black person to be having that music video on MTV. That was a big impact. But yet they only have a little snippet of everyone out in the streets. And then it cuts off to making another song. And I'm like, that's great and all. But don't you want that impact to be shown a little bit more?
Impact is a great point.
Isn't everyone wanting the acceptance and inclusivity of all this? Like, he opened that door to have more, to have Black artists have their art shown on MTV. But why is there only a snippet of him in New York on a limo?
So if the answer to that isn't because of things that had to be edited out, and we have to point to the director, I don't think that this director was the right guy for it. And the director was
Antoine Fuqua,
who did
Training Day.
For me, that's kind of a random person to do a biopic. The person I always quote as like, let this guy be the dude to do biopics, James Mangold. Ford v Ferrari, Walk the Line, A Complete Unknown were amazing movies that, yes, you have a little bit of like, here's how they started off. And then once you set that person up, you then focus on a really important part of their life. You know what I mean? But the fact that this movie is like a little bit over 2 hours long, and then at the very end, it's like Michael Jackson will return in Doomsday. I've never seen a biopic have a fucking sequel, or like a sort of assumed sequel. That's not how that's done. And of course, everyone who's currently like the fan of the big fan of the movie, but it was great and it showed all the good stuff of him. It's like, great, but that's not a movie. And they go, well, you can't really show someone's entire life in 2 hours. That's not the point of a biopic. You're not supposed to show the person's entire life within 2 hours. You're supposed to show the critical portions of that person's life, and you boil it down to 2 hours is way more than enough time to actually tell a fucking story. But when you're just a compilation of highlights, let it be known that when you're going to go watch this movie, that is what it is. And it's a fun watch. It's perfectly fine. If you like, like I mentioned, Purple Rain, just sit in. It's a musical, basically. If you sit in for those performances, you're going to have a great time. But if you've seen other biopics where they're really telling those story beats and have like a proper construction and delivery system as those do, you're not going to get that from this movie at fucking all. But that's my heated opinion.
No, yeah, no, because while we were pre-recording time, I did like a quick 30-minute search and found a lot of footage on those eras that were there, some backstage, some all this other stuff. And the one thing that I feel that would have made this connect a little bit more is if they included some of that footage into like the concerts. Yeah. Like just when you go into the crowd, you would have that connection of like the actual impact on those, because you can find them fucking online. It's not, it's there. He probably has an archive. The state has an archive of all these things.
In fact, the visual effects that were used in order to portray like a big concert, it lost that connectivity for me. Real quick, I a moment ago, I had said about like other movies sort of postponing their release dates. What I, to go back on that tangent, is they should have waited. They should have kind of just, this whole movie needs an overhaul if you're going to tell a story. And like whatever you're going to reshoot, let it be things that sort of lend to any story that you possibly want to tell. I think they should have waited, but that's just me.
I think they also should have picked someone different to direct. They should have, knowing that you're going to make a biopic on an artist that has such big controversy before even getting that storyline. There should have been the studios covering.
Oh, yeah.
Double checking everything to see.
Yeah, I felt sloppy.
Because you're just wasting out another $10 million on those reshoots. Now, what if there's no Michael Part 2? Because they spent money on $10 million.
The box office shows that there is probably going to be a Michael Part 2. This, it got, what, 100 million?
Yeah.
Over the weekend?
But I feel like also it's a money grab. And I also feel like they're trying to cover themselves.
Cover their asses.
Especially the lawyers, because the daughter, Paris Jackson, she's suing them for all that stuff. So I feel like this is just a big money grab.
Then correct. Then at this point, that they should have not made the movie other than it being a money grab, because was it Jackson? What's the straight to TV movie? It was like Jackson, the American Story.
Yeah, I was going to reference that. Like I remember watching that as a kid.
American Dream. I
got to learn a lot more from that. I mean, because it doesn't just cover Michael Jackson, it's covering his whole family, like how his parents met. So it's not exactly a Michael Jackson biopic. Like parts of it does eventually delve into his story, but that gave us a lot more insight to the person he became to be. Like, why does he have his eccentricities? Why is he like a bit socially awkward? Why did he still have like the kid mentality?
I could tell you why.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure plenty of people like are already familiar with the story and all, but it's like that covered their story a lot more better. Like it gave us a lot more deeper into that. Cause I commented this to you guys when we walked out of the theater and we were talking about like, what were our quick thoughts. I felt like the Jackson brothers, for example, were just background characters. Like, if you were to ask me to, like, describe Michael Jackson's parents, I can give you a fair description of them because they got a fair amount of screen time, especially Joseph Jackson. And then ask me, what were your thoughts on the other parts of the Jackson 5 group? Nothing, because they had no character. Like, they were just fluff pieces.
There was even scenes, I think there was like the stage scenes where I feel like they just turned on, for those who know like video and picture editing, they turned on like the vignette filter.
Yeah.
And so they darkened around like a darker circle around, so it sort of spotlighted little Michael.
Yeah.
And then the brothers are literally in the shadows.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
Like, I would have liked to have seen more of his relationship with his brothers more. Like, what was his dynamic with them?
And then there are interviews with Michael and I don't remember if it's Randy or Tito, where he looks like he's being asked a question. Like, this is during the Jackson 5 era. So it's like little Michael. And he looks up at his brother like, can you translate this question for me? Because I don't understand. And the brother takes the time to translate so he can answer the question. What about that connection where, there was always that one brother that had his back, that had to like, let me be the surrogate dad to you. Like, I'm not your brother now. I'm acting like your dad. Like, what about that connection? Because there's that connection. And I understand if Janet Jackson didn't want to be portrayed in this movie, that's her own right. But you have LaToya. She's in there. Give a little bit more insight to that. You have, I know the other ones, but they might have like been assholes because that's how they were being portrayed in the thing when that basketball scene. They were basically being assholes, like the Big Brothers. Mm-hmm. Have a little more insight on that. Why? Is it because they didn't like that? And also, that like you're portraying him as him loving Disneyland a lot. Have him, a little scene or whatever, like coming back from that theme park or what. He was like the OG Disney adult. Like, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen someone with that much Disney merch. Well, I mean, now, but like that was that much that wanted to create like a replica of Neverland. Did Captain EO? For heaven's sake, you could have added that into the movie. It was within 86. This ends in 88. But again, Sony owns a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, this story overall, because we're all just rambling on this movie, it was just a very sanitized, that's the way I kept reading a lot of stuff online, that
it's too shiny.
It was just very sanitized retelling of his story, but it just didn't cut it.
Did not cut it, at least for people who actually enjoy films, enjoy movies.
Don't get me wrong, I love his music. Who doesn't? Like, I'd be lying if I didn't say,
by the way,
that when those scenes were playing out, like the concert scenes or the music video shootings, I was like totally vibing with it. Like again, Jafar Jackson is just a splitting image.
And whoever played, I fucking forget his name, so we can look it up. Little Michael did an amazing job.
He was great, like
the
adorable kid,
dancing,
so
singing,
like where like performances, like there weren't really any weak ones. And Coleman Domingo, again, he plays a real son of a bitch, and it's like in the first 5 minutes,
you even had
hate him.
I was looking at some like photos and stuff of the real Joe Jackson, and Coleman Domingo captures that look where he kind of is like staring with his sort of like hazel eyes, his green eyes, and his mouth is just kind of, it's like slack jaw, and he's like, what the fuck's going on?
A little funny, there's this one scene that we all kind of laughed, little sidebar here, is when Joseph Jackson is meeting Don King, and they're bouncing back and forth doing that like that laugh. It was just, it's kind of a small thing, but I don't know, I just really like that scene because I'm like, oh, these two are totally besties.
Who played Little Michael?
Juliano Valdi.
Great performance.
Yeah.
Like, that kid was great.
Fantastic.
And I've seen some of his kind of like the press tour where he does go on some talk shows and everything like that. It just seems like he's even playing Michael outside of this thing because he's just giving that energy when he walks into, like, when they surprise people at the theaters, with Coleman Domingo and Jafar Jackson out, like, he's giving that same energy. And I'm just like, I love it because you're just a kid. You're still giving that kid energy.
Yeah, no shade on any of the actors or their performances. Everybody was very well. They performed very well casted. The gentleman who played his bodyguard Bill, I think, was one of the most perfect casting.
Yeah,
I'm never commenting on that. Everything was great. It's just like I said before.
It was just the story. Well, lack of
story, construction, everything. It's again, I'm repeating myself. It's for the fans. You want to go ahead and put a number on these things?
Yep.
Okie dokie. Every other episode, me, Alva, and Carlos go back and forth, alternate on guessing the Rotten Tomato critic and audience score, as well as giving our own personal ratings of the aforementioned movies. And in this case, that's Mother Mary, Michael, Exit 8, and Over Your Dead Body. From 0 to 100, 59 and below being rotten, 16 and above being fresh. Alva is going to tell us. That means me, you, Carlos, are guessing all these things.
Yay.
All right. Let's start with Carlos for Exit 8.
My favorite movie out of this whole week, I'm going to give this a 90% personal score. Critics, I'm going to say 90, and audiences, I feel like more, so like 93.
Okay, so you're really close. 92 and 87.
Sick.
Ooh,
So it's really good, yeah. And then Isaac.
For Over Your Dead Body.
Over Your Dead Body. What would you give that?
I'm personally going to give it an 80%. I think it was a very, very well done movie. I think that the critics are maybe going to give it around there, maybe like a 75%. And I think audiences will give it an 85%.
Okay, so critics gave it a 69. I don't understand. Maybe they didn't get the dark humor.
No,
but
not at all.
Audience at 80%. So you're right there with the audience.
Right there. You know, it's funny. There was even some parts in Over Your Dead Body at the very end where they went really meta. It went absurd meta, and they sort of like made a movie from their story, and they slammed kind of Hollywood a little bit. So maybe that's what knocks some points off.
Probably.
nice.
Mother Mary. Let's go with Carlos.
Personal 77. Critics 79. Audiences, I feel like 69.
Isaac.
I'm going to give that one an 80%. I think critics are maybe going to give it a 70, and I think audience is probably going to go lower, like at 65.
Okay, so this one, critics gave it a 68, and audience gave it a 55. Those are some dumb people.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
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 Hey, Anne Hathaway, ain't she in that Devil Wears Prada? Let's go see Mother Mary. What the fuck is this?
Moving on to Michael.
There we go.
All right.
All right.
I love little Michael.
Carlos.
I'll give it a 70. Again, I liked it enough, but a lot of flaws. Critics, I already knew they gave this movie crap, but I'm going to say 35. And audiences, 88.
I couldn't confidently give this a fresh rating. So I'm giving it a personal 55%. I think critics are giving it a 35%. And then audiences, no one has shut up about it. I'm saying 99%.
Okay, so critics did give it a 38, and audience at a 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand the audience, and I also understand the critics. I am in the middle.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the movies that has the biggest divide and arguing like, no, like critics didn't get it. So yeah, this is definitely one to spark that.
It's actually sparked a conversation of like, why do we need critics? And we had the whole conversation. I'm like, because sometimes people don't have time to go see a movie, and you know, they don't have the time, they don't have the money if they're not signed up to a subscription thing.
Also, you wouldn't be saying that if it was a food critic.
Exactly. Because there's also a million and one movies and TV shows to fucking watch. Sometimes I kind of want to be pointed in the correct direction. You know what I mean? So there you have it. There it fucking is. Does anybody have any last words or forever hold thine peace?
Check out Exit 8 if you can.
Check out Over Your Dead Body, Mother Mary if you're smart, Michael if you want to watch a good movie about Michael, that if you're a fan, and I feel like I forgot a movie, but it's not. And that's it.
And I would challenge the word good about that one. Let's go ahead and close it out. Thank you everybody for listening. If you've come this far, comment the words hee hee.
See, I actually did it.
You did.
And now you can't speak for the rest of the day. Follow us on social media at
YHST Pod
on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And please support us on Venmo at
YHSTpod.com.
Dear Lord. And this is why no one's giving us money. In the meantime, let us know what movies are on your growing list of films that has people asking you the question,
You haven't seen that?
Okay, bye.
All right, laters. I hate this job.
You know what, guys? I actually really liked the movie. Yeah. It's actually my favorite movie. Michael, it was the best.
Plot twist.
I was just turning heel. Just for fun.
Turncoat.
It's my favorite. Better than Pulp Fiction. Beats all Quentin Tarantino movies.
I don't believe it.
It's just, oh my gosh. Holy smokes.
Say that again. Okay, bye.